Moza mBooster, the second big step into the future of sim racing after the brilliant idea from the Granite Device team with the active pedal, which is absolutely brilliant tech, but unfortunately out of reach for too many sim enthusiasts. It is not like the mBooster is very affordable, but with the price of $8.99 after tax is almost half the price with very impressive specs and almost as good in action. The disclaimer first, Moza sent that sample a few months ago for test and review purposes and as always without any conditions. I already drove tons of laps in that track racer 160 SV2 for weeks, testing the limits between the main and the testing rigs, using the mBooster on one side and the SimoCube Active Pedal Pro and Ultimate on the other, and one fun fact with that tech is, with few mouse clicks I made the brake pedals on both rigs almost indistinguishable. So, whatever I'm gonna share with you in that video is more like long-term experience as I drove it for a few months already. Starting with the specs, which are out for a long time and you can check that in detail, but let's do the quick recap. For those who don't know what active pedal is, that is revolutionary technology introduced first time few years back from Granite Device team using servo motor, which can simulate any pedal ever existed in sim and real world through advanced software without the need of elastomers, springs and tools. On top of that, it can simulate tons of effects like ABS, traction control, engine vibration, and who knows what else will come from the game developers in the near future, as with that servo motor, anything is possible. I hope that technology will give you the excitement I got in the last year, and here is what Moza have done with the mBooster. Design-wise is a bit more compact, but is still huge pedal at length of 39 centimeters. They claim inside is high-density servo motor without specific numbers in terms of newtons, but using 200 kg dual-load cell right behind the pedal plate, maxing out that force feels absolutely fine for the motor. However, as they use also angle sensor on the side, I can surpass the 200 kg mark, and that motor keeps up, which is great sign even if I don't really know why anyone will use such a force in simulation. So, through my torture test, what they advertise in terms of power looks to be true. As a servo motor, they had to use encoder, which is 21-bit with 2 million count per revolution, but remember, the input going in the sim comes from the load cell and the angle sensor, which can be used together through the Fusion software, and that is a very cool feature which I will explain later. So, that encoder work is to smooth out just the feeling of the pedal under compression and decompression. Here some of you will have the question if it is smoother than the SimoCube, and the answer is no, as they both use ball screw for the movement and have equally grainy feeling under long travel over 3 to 4 centimeters, but used as a brake, that grainy feeling totally disappear and becomes super smooth like compressing elastomers or springs. Let me repeat that again. The grainy feeling is noticeable only in throttle or clutch use, just like in the SimoCube. That being said, the smoothness statement in the website is not misleading if we talk about brake use, but I don't really suggest to spend that much money for throttle or clutch anyway. Next important part is the travel of the pedal itself, which here is 53 mm, but for brake use is limited to 33, and that must be for some safety reasons, I guess, to protect the components under crazy load, but it's also absolutely enough for any brake pedal settings. Also, the starting point of the pedal can be chosen from that slider. There is also some pedal plate adjustment from here, and this plate is huge and one of the most comfortable for sure. Moving to the magic page of the pedal feel, let me show you the superpower of an active pedal and what exactly makes the difference in comparison to the ones we use for years. The first amazing part is effortless achievement of any pedal feel mimicking real world or personalized to match our own like. First, just relax your feet on the pedal and choose the starting position of the travel. If on that relaxed state of your feet you add some input, just pull the slider on the left up to choose the required initial force. Next, find out what is the total travel in compression which matched your own like or your current muscle memory. Next, choose the overall strength, and for more realistic experience, go to the curve and pick up the progressive one. You can further adjust the points to make it more or less progressive. Once you are done with that, start playing with the damper option in compression and relaxation to smooth your own input. Just with those few options, you can simulate your own car or create your own perfect settings and all that effortlessly, just playing with the mouse. That is such a great advantage over conventional pedals, which sometimes we don't want to put the work and just try to get used to. This is feature which helps us explore all kinds of possibilities with easy tweaks and is really one of the superpower for that tech. I have to admit that even 1 year later using active pedal, I still do minor tweaks for different cars and tracks conditions. Is just pure joy. The next superpower, of course, are the effects, and for brake use, driving mostly GT3s and GT4s, I use ABS with very low frequency as personal preference, but we have control for that feeling and strength, so don't hesitate to test the entire range and choose the one which makes more sense to you. As an iRacing driver, I also use predetermined signal for the 85% of input with high frequency, which doesn't blend with the ABS, so I can distinguish both effects at any time. Those two effects are the ones which helps me in driving and tire heat control. Of course, as you can imagine, many other effects will be possible when game developers start taking advantage of that new technology. If we use that same pedal as a clutch or throttle, there are additional effects like bite point, traction control, or chassis vibration and RPMs. And one very important part is all those effects are very quiet. I love haptic feedback from other solutions too, but for some noise is problem, and this here is very silent. That being said, the endless effortless adjustment and silent feedback for now are the two main superpower of the active pedals, and I guess that's just the beginning on completely new era for driving simulations. Now, let me explain the load cell and the angle sensor. First, we can use them completely separately, but there is one significant difference in use. The load cell input is very progressive in relaxation and working the brake with poor muscle memory. Trail braking is a bit more precise, talking about the input going into the sim, while the angle sensor will send more linear input to the sim. What I mean is, even if we press the exact same way the pedal, the input for the game will be totally different with each sensor. One will be very progressive with our movement and the other one will be very linear. All that doesn't mean one sensor is more precise than the other, it means the inputs move just differently. However, it is completely possible to make the angle sensor send progressive input to the sim and be just like a load cell. All we have to do is just create progressive curve on the input map. That being said, the software can mix both inputs from the sensors 50-50 and create very smooth signal to the sim, which can help with consistent braking without play of that input. So, you can mix both together and then play with the mapping, adding slight progressive curve to match the load cell progression for stable signal and good muscle memory work under trail braking. Definitely great solution if you understand how to use it properly. I have to admit that pedal looks like absolutely top work, but of course I found few weak points. The first one is the attachment. There are two holes in front, another two at 11 centimeters further and another two at 33 centimeters mark. I guess using just the first 4 holes will be absolutely enough, but you will need to drill your plate. I would personally prefer to have side slots on the entire length, which would make my life easier using it with whatever pedals I want or I have. I know you will be creative and find a way, but it would be nicer if the slots were big and from outside. However, the full kit I have here is not bad at all. The throttle feels good with easy stiffness adjustment and travel, and the plate very comfortable. The clutch have interesting design with strong bite point feeling if you like that, and does also great job. The base plate comes with extension and the mBooster will be supported very well. Heel support and carbon heel plate gives nice touch to the package, and the overall price of $11.99 is still very competitive, and I can't see any reason to suggest any other pedals in that 1K price range right now. I believe the mBooster and the full kit will totally kill the 1K and above sim racing pedal market, something I predicted will happen anyway 2 years ago. The sim world is moving forward and other companies must catch now. Another negative part I notice is in idle the motor creates that coil line noise, and that's fixable problem through software, and Moza team are aware of it and work to fix that. And the last negative part I found is without the damping filter, the motor is not smooth enough in slow inputs. I had to use at least 30% damping to make it buttery smooth in slow compression and decompression. That's not big deal anyway, as we have that filter to smooth it out, and I guess in few firmware updates won't need any filter anyway. And I also highly suggest to use some damping, not just for the smoothing, but for better input control. So, Moza's weakest point was always the pedals in their ecosystem, and now with the mBooster will totally kill the competition in that 1K price range. This is indeed impressive product and is about to get better with each next firmware. SimuCube did the first important step, and now Moza with that price will push the competition on the corner and give them no choice but try to do better and catch up with that technology. Those are some exciting times, guys. Really exciting times.